Today on Northern Revolutions, I'm going to share with you 5 records you'd be probably surprised that are in my collection. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. As said in the intro, I'm going to share with you 5 records you're probably surprised that I own. This is a contest that I got to do for my good friend and the heartthrob of the vinyl community, Sam St. John. He's doing a contest where he wants us to show 5 surprising records. I didn't have a lot that was surprising in my collection, surprisingly. I got a lot of classic rock, a lot of Canadian music. That's about it. So, not that any of these are earth-shattering, but they don't quite fit in with everything else that I own. So, for my good pal Sam, let's take a look at 5 records that for some reason I own. My first instinct was to show some Spice Girls and some Taylor Swift, but I've talked about that often enough on my channel that that's no longer a surprise anymore. So we're going to go this route. Kid Rock, Born Free. Kid Rock's a gigantic wanker. But it's actually not a bad album. Admittedly, I bought this. This came out a couple years after he did that duet with Sheryl Crow. I'm a Sheryl Crow fan. They did that song Picture. So I was intrigued by this because he does another duet with Sheryl Crow on here called Collide. So I was intrigued. Bob Seger's also on here, and it looked sort of not like his rap shit. So I thought I would take a flyer on it. I bought it having never heard it. This came out in, I don't know when it came out, 2010. So it's like a 13-year-old record. It's Southern rock. It's Kid Rock doing Southern rock. So, take that with a grain of salt. Is it great music? No. Is it an entertaining listen? Yeah, sure. So, I listen to it every now and then. Some of the stuff I like, some of it I don't. Kid Rock's still a wanker, but it's not a bad listen. I've commented a few times on my channel that I really don't like the Rolling Stones. But I own this. Steel Wheels. When's this from? I don't know. 1980 something. I only own this because a friend was purging his record collection and he gave me a few of the albums out of there, and this was one of them. Have I ever listened to it? Nope. Do I know any song on here? Nope. But a friend gave it to me, so I have it. I also have the Stones Hot Rocks, but I've mentioned that before. There's a few songs I like on there from back in the day. But yeah, Steel Wheels. Still don't like the Rolling Stones. Just don't do it for me. But I have a Stones album. Next up, I like Southern rock. I like rootsy rock, that kind of stuff. Eagles, that kind of thing. Not a big fan of country, country proper. Don't get it. So that's why it may surprise you that I own this record. Now, I know you've never heard of it. However, this is Daniel Romano. Is called Come Cry With Me. It sounds exactly like it looks. This is Daniel Romano in a nudie suit singing, very 50s country. Daniel's from Welland, Ontario. This came out in 2013. He's an interesting guy, actually. Did some garage rock. He changes genres like a chameleon. And he's put out some really great stuff. His country period was, I don't know how to describe it. I did see him. He opened for Whitehorse one time in support of this album, and in fact had this suit on. And he was just dreadful. My pal Brian and I went to that Whitehorse concert. We saw this, and we were just blown away by how horribly bad his country music was. But I have this because he has a song in here called "I'm Not Crying Over You." Check it out on YouTube. If there's a video, I'll link it in the description. Um, Brian and I just fell in love with that song because it is so bad, and it sounds like this looks. And we loved it so much that my buddy Brian used to start playing it at open mic nights when he would do open mic nights in the town we live in. I'd sometimes sing it with him. It's just dreadful. So I own this for sentimental and comedic reasons, but it's not something I listen to with any great regularity because I don't get this kind of country. Number four, I don't like soundtracks generally. I have a few, maybe half a dozen. So I have a soundtrack to a movie that I think is the stupidest movie ever made. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't get this movie. Maybe I'm just not smart enough to get it. I don't get it. I think it's stupid. But the soundtrack is goddamn phenomenal. The time warp. Over at the Frankenstein place. Touch it, touch it, touch me. I mean, it's all great, catchy, stupid musical stuff, but it's just a fun listen. I don't do musicals. I don't like this movie, but for some reason I love this soundtrack. So, Rocky Horror Picture Show. And lastly, some blues. Yeah, I don't talk about blues because I know nothing about blues, admittedly. But I have this. This is an album by a band called Chicken Shack. This is Imagination Lady from 1972. Why do I own this? Well, I own this because I'm a huge Fleetwood Mac fan. And prior to Christine McVie joining Fleetwood Mac, she was in Chicken Shack. She was a member from 68 to 69, I think. So a few years prior to this album. And I think she's on the 40 Fingers album, I believe, which I also have. I have a few Chicken Shack albums, but I picked this one. This is actually my favorite because I remember when I was in my early 20s, I want to say like 20, 21, 22, I was working at a hardware store, Canadian Tire. There was a guy that I worked with, and he was the biggest stoner in the world. And he and I had nothing in common. But for some reason, this kid, who was a little bit younger than me, he was his late teens, loved Chicken Shack. And I'm like, oh my God, someone else my age has heard of Chicken Shack. And he turned me on to this particular Chicken Shack album. There's a great song in here called If I Were a Carpenter. Just fantastic. So this is one of only maybe 2 blues albums I own, maybe 3. I know nothing about blues. I don't know whether this is good. I don't know, but I enjoy this record. So there you go, Sam. I could not miss your contest. I apologize. I'm waiting until just towards the end, but I haven't been doing a lot of contests lately, but I had to do yours. Absolutely. So 5 records that I hope surprised you. Please check out Sam St. John's channel. I'll leave a link in the description. He also usually joins Glenn Calloway and I Wednesdays on Glenn's channel for our live stream. But please check out Sam if you haven't already, and subscribe to his channel. That's everything from me, everybody. Catch you on the flip side.